Hello everybody. Today I would like to see if I can update the login server, specifically this section of the code to be more readable. Now, first let me present what the issue with this function is. This function gets called every time we got a new request from the client, meaning if the client tries to log in, sends its username and password, game guard request, so on and so forth, right? The thing is, when we come here, notice that we do some decoding, decrypt, but the problem lies here. Because if you're new to the project, you can't really tell what's the flow of the code. Like, what's the packet that will get executed first? What should be the order of this? We know that first we should handle the game guard request, and then the auth login, then the login server, and finally the server list, right? Now, if you're familiar with the project, that's okay. And in this case, you don't really see a big problem because we don't have a lot of packets. But essentially what we got here is a state machine. Um, and there is another problem with that actually. What if the client um, skips the auth packet, meaning the game guard packet? What if it straight up goes to the auth login? We won't be catching that error. So we have to somehow enforce that this packet gets called, then this one gets called, then this one, and finally this one. Meaning we need to implement a state machine. Now, the thing with state machines is that they work really well. The thing is, if you have a lot of states, it can become complicated to manage. So recently I found out an alternative for this, and those are coroutines. So I'm not a big expert on coroutines, but basically, take this code as an example. It allows us to call a function and then resume the execution based on a previous state. So what's going to happen here is that we will begin here on the main function, and then let's go ahead and make some copies. And then the first time we call some function, it's going to come here, and it will execute this chunk of code. And that's it. This is going to exit from here. Then the second time that we call this function, it's not going to start from here. It's going to start from here. So notice how the code resumes from the previous exit point. And we can actually test this out. So for instance, let's say that I remove everything. Let's go ahead and compile this. And then execute. And as you can see, we only get the first line. Now what happens if I call it again? Am I gonna get, I'm starting here, step one, and then step two? Let's see. Whoops, gotta compile. Bro, there we go. Notice that we don't get two first messages here. We only get one, and then we jump to the second um, step. And if we keep on calling, we will just get the entire thing out, as you can see here. And we can also execute code in the in between lines. So for instance, this is from main, okay? Then if we run again, bro, what's happening with this? All right. So as you can see, we got the first message, then we got the message from main, and then we continue the execution here. So as you can see, you can imagine that we can use this for the problem that I just stated, right? We can say, okay, we will begin with the ggauth, then we will continue with the login, then we will continue with this and that, right? So you can see how we can almost follow the code, right? It's like a waterfall. Um, Now, what happens if for some reason we want to execute, I don't know, a chunk of code multiple times until some condition um, applies? We can do so by, instead of yielding, just returning. Okay? So let's say we're gonna say some x parameter, right? And we're gonna say if the x parameter is equal to 2, or you know what, let's say 1, just for um, sake of simplicity. So we're gonna say if x is 1, return, don't yield. Okay? So now let's test that out. Let's go ahead and pass 1 on all of these functions, on all of these calls. And then you will notice that this line will get executed. Then on the second call, this one will get executed. And then since the condition applies, we'll return, meaning we won't update the resume point, which means instead of on the next call running from here, it's gonna run from here. So it's kind of like a loop. So let's go ahead, if that holds true. There we go. So as you can see, we only run the second step multiple times until the condition no longer applies. Now there is what if for some reason we wanna skip some steps, right? Let's say that we wanna run the first step, then on the second call, if some condition applies, I wanna skip this and go straight to this. How can I do that? Go to step 3. Like so, and then we're gonna say if x is equal to 1, skip this. Actually, this might have to be at the top here, bro. There we go. So if x is equal to 1, skip 2 and go straight to step 3. Okay. So now let's follow the flow. We'll call once, we execute this, and we stop here. We execute the second time, we're gonna execute this. X is equal to 1, yes. So go to step 3, execute this, exit, and then if we call again, continue from here. Now let's compile, see what happens. And then we get step 1. This is from main. And notice how we skip to this one, and we go straight to step 3. All right. Now, how are we accomplishing this? All the credit of for this code goes to this link. I'm gonna leave it in the description. But basically, it's a bunch of macros that yeah, you might want to go ahead and read uh, everything from here. I'm not gonna do justice explain this out because to be honest, I don't quite understand it, but I just want to go ahead and try it and see how well it goes. All right, so let's go ahead and copy this out. Let's go to the login, and I'm gonna paste it right here. I don't care about everything looking clean. right now. I just want to see how it looks. So we got all the macros right there. And I'm gonna say static void on login server new request. It doesn't really matter. Go ahead and paste that in. And here, this is the place that I'm gonna use the yield stuff. Alright, so we begin with the ctx begin. I may need to include this in this session. Yes. Yes. You know what? Let's go ahead and put in the types, file, save, coroutine.h. There we go. If include. Is it include or just the name? No, just the name. Coroutine define and then edit. There we go. Do we have the struct? We don't. And actually, let's go ahead and copy this. There we go. Okay. So now in the session, I'm gonna include coroutine struct ctx. Now this struct, we need this struct to save what's the point of execution we are in. And it only holds a integer. So, and then what do we want to say? State? Yeah, state sounds good. All right. I think that's pretty much it. So I can do session ctx, and then we have to pass the pointer for this, and then ctx end. Why? Oh, this is state, not ctx. There we go. So now, we said that let's comment this out. There we go. And then let's go ahead and call this new function on login server new request. There we go. We got the state plus the session. Lovely. Okay. And now we said that first we have to handle this one. So now we'll check for the packet. I don't recall what's the packet type. Wait. Request type, packet type, session request, was it? I don't quite recall. Session request, yes. There we go. Okay, so we have to, what do we have to do? We have to make sure that the first time that we execute this function, we deal with this one, request type. So if it's not this, we're gonna exit. That's it. So, actually, well, we have to be careful here, right? Because if we execute this, let's say that we got something like this, toggle yield. We yield here, and then we continue right here. The first time we run this, this is gonna work because we're defining this. But the second time we run this function, we'll begin from here. This one won't get executed. So this needs to be out of here, like so. And then we can do this. Toggle, there we go. First handle dd auth. Okay. And then we can call this. There we go. So we call that and then we yield. And do we have to return anything here? No, I don't think so. Okay, there we go. Lovely. So let's review this one more time. We call this function, right? We execute this no matter what. And then we begin with the coroutine stuff. The first time this will get executed, and if it doesn't, if it's not the proper packet, we'll exit out, and then the second time that we call, it's gonna start again from here. So this way we make sure that the first one is the ggauth. Do we? Hmm. Yes, we need to check on that. Yes. Okay, so I was thinking, what if we don't perform any checks and we just straight call the auth function? But yeah, um, let's go ahead and make sure that we're dealing with the proper packet. So then we'll continue with this one. If request type is not this, exit. And let's make sure that we don't lose the comments. There we go. And then call this yield again. Session state. There we go. And then we don't need that. Out login and then login server. Is it login server or no? I think this is the. See, this is the problem. I'm not sure what the proper flow this should be in, and even if I have documentation, the documentation may be outdated, so it's better to have something like this. But yeah, I think this is the proper order. So we need the server list. Okay. And what's the code for the server list? This one. Okay, so if the request type is not this, exit. And then we handle that. And finally, we're gonna handle the login server. This bad boy here. Okay. Request type. Here we go. And then log into game server. That's more, that's clear, I think. There we go. And then don't forget to yield or we're gonna have bad time here. There we go. I don't think I have to yield here, or do I? Well, maybe if for some reason we call again, we'll continue from here and that's it. All right. So now notice how we got a proper flow. We know that the first packet needs to be the ggauth, then auth login, then server list, and finally we log into the game server. And also notice how we enforced uh, how the um, the packet order or the request order, right? If we don't get the specific order that we are placing in here, we're not gonna handle those requests. So this way we make sure that the state of the application remains correct. And again, what does it mean? It means that we can be pretty sure that we handle the ggauth request if we are at this point in the code. And we don't have to do like if did we handle ggauth, like, do you know what I mean? There we go. So I think this is it. Maybe we wanna do we wanna log this, or yeah, we wanna, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Received how can I say this? Let's do this. Received packet but was expecting ggauth. Ignoring. There we go. And then request type. Whoops. Like so. And the same here. So then we got some proper login to know what's going on. There we go. Expecting a server list. Like so. And then expecting um, log into game server. Received packet but was expecting log into game server. Sure. Sure. Yeah, that's okay. And then if for some reason we made out to this point, I was not expecting I was not expecting packets. Ignoring. There we go. We don't need to call this. Or what I got. There we go. So we know what the packet was. There we go. So we shouldn't, like, the flow is this one, and then if we keep calling on this function, let's go ahead and say we're not expecting anything else. This is wrong. And then I think we could just remove this, but let's first compile and see what's going on. Okay, do we have the lineage? Anytime now. I'm not sure why does it takes this long, but whatever. Is the okay, so this is not running. I'm gonna have to Login server. Okay. Uh, why? This is from this one. Why was I able to Why was I able to execute this if this is a Linux executable? What? That was weird. And before doing that, I'm gonna say, because I want to make sure that I'm running this new code, new packet received. Let's go ahead and add that. All right. So now, okay. Yeah, so the new code is being executed. New packet received. Agree. I'm not. I did something wrong. Hmm, what if I... Hang on, did it? Oh, I think it hang because I selected part of the code, the log. So we're getting that, okay. Then the server list, that's fine. And then there we go. Seems to be working just fine. We can see the entire flow here. So first we got the ggauth. Then we got the auth login. Then we got the server list here. And finally, we log into the server. Um, I was not expecting um, for this to work this well, but yeah, this is amazing, dude. We got an entire state machine, and you can read it as a like normal code, dude. You don't have to bash your head around the flow. This looks amazing. All right, I guess this is the new way of coding state machines. Dude, looks so cool. No messing around. You do have to be careful with this type of things. Like I was lucky enough to not run into that issue, but besides that, it looks pretty goddamn good. All right, so I guess this is a good place to end the video. Again, all the credit goes to this link. Go ahead and check it out. It's amazing. And the only thing that I did for these macros is just rename those, rename the macros, and then I implemented the CTX struct containing the state integer. But that's it. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll guess I'll see you when I see you. Bye, guys.